Okay, for Sunday, May 22nd. So we'll do a roundup. I've got a laser pointer here this time because I can't see the other one. So at Nuvik, I'm still dry in the west. So Nuvik got 21 and 24% RH. Enjoy one more day of warm weather in Nuvik before the cold front comes down on you. And Norman Wells, you get to 24 and 24% RH there. And exactly the same thing at Fort Simpson was 24 and 24 RH there. So crossovers through a lot of the valley, probably most of the valley. Fort Liard, 26 and 21% RH, good crossover there. Into Yellowknife, you got to 12 and 45% RH, but there are other places that were a little warmer, like Wati was 18 and down to 29% RH, and there were a lot of places in the North Slave that were around 30% for RHs. So Yellowknife was sort of maybe the little higher one of the bunch. Into Fort Smith, 10 degrees, fairly cool. South of the lake, 10 degrees, and 74% RH stayed in the moister air. Into Hay River, got 11 degrees, still getting that flow off the lake, 65%. But you go up to like Fort Providence, and it was into that warmer air, 17, and down into the 30s, 33% RH there. So you can see you get away from the lake a bit, and you do get, the warmer and drier. Fort Chip was 14. It had a fair bit of rain, it reported yesterday, but I didn't get any amounts, so I don't know exactly what it got. And stayed pretty moist there. So again, it was dry in the west. So looking at the lightning, are we there, I guess? A few sparks, and around, well, what is that, Fort Simpson in that area? A couple of sparks there, but not too much. So we'll move on to the 500 millibar. At 500, well, we got this giant Arctic vortex that's spinning around, and it's going to push some cool air down towards Inuvik over to, well, later tonight and tomorrow, and that cool things off there. And in the rest of the parts, there's not a whole lot of changes, really. You got this good low in Alberta that's spewing some moisture up, but it's not really getting into Wood Buffalo very much. So at the surface, let me see, we got pretty broad low pressure area, kind of weak patterns right now, actually. I got this cold front here. You picked that up. It's getting a little more defined, and certainly that's going to be, I guess, one of the main features. It's going to push its way from the northeast into Inuvik. Well, tomorrow, overnight, certainly cool things off a lot there. See minus temperatures up to the north of it. And it's also over, well, later tomorrow, I guess, and that it's going to edge its way a little further westward into through Caribou and getting towards Great Slave Lake by, well, what would that be, Tuesday. So, well, cooler conditions pushing their way in, still pretty mild into the western parts in the valley again. So we'll go on to the satellite picture. Not a lot to report. With that cloud, or with that front cloud along in north of it, a lot of low cloud stays around there, but otherwise most of the cloud seems to have cleared out. Got this great big low in Alberta that's raining on us like mad in Edmonton right now. So Sunday, this evening, what have we got? Like I said, this big Arctic vortex is pushing its way southeast, southwestward a bit, and kind of squeezing whatever ridge we had over the western parts out. And like I say, the weather patterns are kind of quiet. There'll be that Arctic front that's working its way into the area. So let's just go to my Prague here. So like I said, that Arctic cold front, it's working its way into the northern part of Nuvik, just south of the coastline. through today and kind of hanging in place off into the eastern parts over the eastern NWT. So it'll move a little bit more through tomorrow, but still remaining very dry into the certainly areas like Liard around there. They're really dry, and into most of the Sahtu and Dehcho regions today, and even getting drier south of into the South Slave and North Slave regions and Wood Buffalo. So just about every place other than Nuvik is getting kind of dry today. So looking at some of the places here, we go into Wood Buffalo, got northeast winds 15 gusting 30. They're getting influenced by that big system in Alberta, about 18 for highs. A lot drier. They're losing all that cloud and rain, so they're getting down into the 20s for RHs as well. I go into Fort Smith area, Smith, and you get easterly winds 10 gusting 20, about 18 for highs, 28 RHs. Pretty much the same in Hay with easterly winds and around 20 for a high there. 25% RH is getting down into that area, getting closer to the western NWT there with the real dry air. Out into Caribou, getting kind of close to that front there, frontal zone. So kind of a northwest wind, 15 gusting 25, a little cooler there, 16 for a high, but still dryish, 35% RH. North of the lake, North Slave, there's this trough extending from this low here. I can show you, but across the, through Dehcho and just into North Slave, and it's getting a bit of influence for the winds. So southwesterly, 20 gusting 30 today through a good part of the North Slave region, around 18 for highs, 25, 30% RH. So that's pretty aggressive fire weather conditions for that with the stronger winds. And you get into Dehcho, northern parts, north of that front, sort of a lightish easterly wind, maybe 10 kilometers an hour. Then you get down into Liard area and southwest winds, 15 gusting to, about 25, which I forgot to put on there, I guess. And still up to about 27 for a high, again, much similar to yesterday, 20% RHs. And that's the same sort of thing into the southern part of the Dehcho. So really dry, still continuing there, and good crossover, that's for sure. And still dry into Sahtu for another day. 23 or so for a high, 25, close to crossover there. And there's a bit of instability in around the valley there. And it's, little bits of it, so there might be a risk of a thunder shower, a few sparks in there. Couldn't find any along that trough for instability. Seemed kind of stable. So looking into Monday, get it on the screen there. So at the surface, you can see we got this good gradient across Slave Lake. So pretty brisk winds for north and south Slave, even into Wood Buffalo and western part of Caribou. And there might even be a risk of a little thunder shower. There's an upper system that's wending its way close to the sort of western Hay part, so it might give a chance for a little bit of a thunder shower in there. And like I said, this backdoor cold front that's moved its way through Inuvik overnight and through tomorrow, will be getting into Sahtu through the day as well tomorrow, especially the northern parts. So on the Prague, my Prague here, for tomorrow, Monday evening, got that cold front that's pushing its way south through Sahtu, and it's also edging its way, like I said, through Caribou and getting close to Slave Lake, like the eastern arm there. It's just starting to touch the tip of that. So cooler air invading the Caribou region there too, but still dry into the western part, especially, the southern Dehcho and Liard area, still much the same as it has been for the last couple of days, and still reasonably dry, fairly dry into the South Slave. So look at some of the places here. Wood Buffalo, northeast winds, 10 gusting 20, about 22 for a high, and dry there too, 25% RHs. You get north, south of the lake, South Slave area, both Smith And Hay have got easterly winds. Smith about 15 gusting 25, around 17 for a high and 30% RHs. Hay River area 20 for a high, 30% RHs. Still a lot cooler around the lake. So these are temperatures, away from the lake. Go to North Slave, and they're getting more of an easterly wind tomorrow, so easterly 20 gusting to 30. They're getting influenced by this low that's making its way into the Sawtooth area, and it'll drift along for through the day on Tuesday as well before it kind of peters out when it gets to around Slave Lake. Got an easterly wind, it looks like, in Caribou, 15 gusting 25, and then they're north, or not north, but east of that frontal zone, so see down to only about 8 degrees there, so decent temperature contrast with that. Then we go into the western parts, and like I said, still dry and crossover for Liard, 27 for a high and 20% RHs, and a good southwest wind, 15 gusting 30, so still pretty aggressive fire weather conditions there. I go up into more of the northern part of Dehcho and get an influence with some northerly winds around that low that's meandering its way across the region. So northerly, 15 gusting to 25 there, 21 for a high and around 35% RHs. And this low, the front, like I said, it's working its way through Sawtooth, so getting, the northern parts, especially central parts, getting a lot cooler than they were today. So only about 9 degrees sort of in the northern central parts, and the higher RH is 80%, and some showers accompanying that front as well. And it will have gone through Inuvik by, say, in the morning. So dropping down to about 6 degrees there. So from your nice highs in the 20s, it's sort of back to more of a lot colder conditions there. But still dry into the southwestern parts for sure, and the southern parts. Looking for Tuesday, we'll go quickly. There's still a decent gradient across Slave Lake, so kind of brisk winds there. That cool air is working its way into the Dehcho as well, and like I said, even into the eastern Slave. So cooling off a lot through Dehcho, and eastern Slave getting cooler. So getting highs into Dehcho, dropping down into the teens probably, especially like the northern part, still the very southern part, like around Liard, and that'll be warm for another day anyhow. A few showers accompanying that front, especially it looks like through the Caribou and eastern Smith area. On Wednesday, well, what have we got? Wednesday, it gets there's this low working its way across northern Alberta, and it maintains a briskish gradient, or a fairly decent gradient, through South Slave and into Wood Buffalo. So that's a bit of a player for the very southern parts. The rest is kind of a quiet weather pattern. Actually, this front kind of hangs in once it gets into Dehcho, and some of the cool air sinks into Sawtooth, and some of the cooler air sinks through Dehcho as well. But system-wise, it's kind of quiet for Wednesday. And go last till Thursday here. Again, the systems are really rather quiet, but this cold front, there is another surge of cold air. It looks like that's going to come and push its way back. It looked like, just go back previous, in the Inuvik and Sawtooth, there may be a bit of warming there as some of that cold air gets pushed away. There's a bit of a ridging coming across the Yukon. So maybe one day they get back into sort of the double digits or so for a bit through Sawtooth and Inuvik. But then there's, like I said, that's the next panel here. Hopefully we got it. Thursday, there's another surge of cold air that comes down through Inuvik and Sawtooth. So that cools things right off again. Some band of showers that accompanies that front through those zones. Might get cold enough to give snow there again too through Sawtooth and Inuvik for Thursday. The Slave area is kind of quiet, actually. There's a bit of a gradient and some northerly winds going through there, but kind of a quiet weather pattern for the Slave area come the middle and Thursday, end of the week. So I guess I'll leave it there if you got any questions.
Any questions? Okay, duty ops call at 11. Thanks.
Okay, very good. Bye.